Okay, good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to today's webinar featuring our presenter, Rachel Winter from PJRFSI. We're also joined by Chris Reno this morning. Please note that everyone is going to be muted throughout the duration of today's webinar. If you have any questions for the presenter or for PJR, we encourage you to use the designated question tab within the GoToWebinar control panel. So without further ado, I'm going to hand it over to Rachel. Thank you for joining us today.
Hi everyone, today we are going to talk about if your organization is needing organic certification. I wanted to highlight what strengthening and organic enforcement is at the SOE. I'm sure most of you have probably heard the regulations became effective March 2023, and then they were officially implemented March 19, 2024, which has caused quite a influx in the organic world, and the NLP has been working hard to notify the industry of these regulation changes. This is one of the biggest changes since the beginning of the Farm Bill. So today we'll jump right into if your operation is looking to get certified. So I did want to highlight the in this link here, the NLP USDA has provided a facts and questions section on this link right here, which can outline quite a few questions that your operations might be looking for. This is a very helpful link. It can be included along with resourcing your NLP regulations, the 205. And some of the first questions is, what is the strengthening organic enforcement file and rule, and how do we learn about it? So this is the exact information that I shared in the last screen about the SOE, and provide some great links such as the web page and the NLP rule and such. So the first question, the question everybody wants to know, who needs to be certified? So except for exempt operations, any operation that produces or handles organic agricultural products must be certified. And when you're looking at trying to understand if your operation needs to be certified, it is so important to read the definition that the NLP provided for handle. Handle means to sell, process, or package agricultural products, including but not limited to trading, facilitating sales, or trading on behalf of a seller or oneself, importing to the United States, exporting for sale in the United States, combining, aggregating, culling, conditioning, treating, packaging, containerizing, repackaging, labeling, storing, receiving, or loading. This is a long list of handling activities that the NLP USDA has defined. So always go back to this. We get a lot of questions about importing to the United States. In this definition, it specifically says importing. So that is somebody who does have to be certified to the NLP USDA standards. So we can define a little bit, we can go into a little bit more detail of who exactly is exempt. And I actually took this exact verbiage off of that facts questions that I shared earlier from that link, because I just feel like it gives the most thorough description, even better than just me writing out exactly what it said. So we're looking for as a retail establishment that sells direct to consumer who do not process organic products. Retail establishments that sell direct to a consumer and only process organic products at the final point of sale. And I won't read every single one. You guys are welcome to get back, look at this presentation or look at the facts and questions. Handling operations that only handle products containing less than 70% organic ingredients. That's always been a part of the regulations. Operations that only receive, store, or prepare for shipment and do not otherwise handle, import, export products. Operations that sell $5,000 or less in organic products each year. This is also One of the grandfathered exemptions for organic certification: operations that only buy or sell and do not otherwise handle, import, or export products. Customs broker who only conducts customs business activities for organic products that do not otherwise handle. So with that, this will be a poll question. We would like to know, what is your certification status currently? Are you currently certified, working towards organic certification, want to be organic certified, I think I need to be organic certified, or need help towards organic certification, and just here to learn? We'll give you a couple minutes here. So far, it looks great. It looks like we're all currently certified with the regulations. Okay, that is good information to try to help tailor this toward your guys' needs. Then we have a second poll question. What scope is your facility certified to or would like to be certified to? Processing facility, handling such as importing, crop, processing, handling, and crop, or other. Okay. Give you 10 more seconds. All right, we're looking at a mixed bag of processing facilities and crop facilities. Very cool. So in this presentation, I provided a lot of examples specifically towards importing and handling, because we get so many questions about that. That is just something that's really new to the industry, and a lot of people are just like, oh, didn't know I needed to get certified. But if you guys need specific example or have specific questions, please reach out to PJRFSI at the end, and we can answer. Get you connected to somebody to answer your guys' questions if this webinar didn't provide all your questions. So here is an example of my business is getting asked a lot of questions from my buyer or certifier. And I provided an example. The business is selling to a processing facility. The processing facility asks questions about your company's certificate. So we're getting this question quite a bit, as I've shared, like this whole industry is just trying to understand if we need certified or not. And they're like, why are we getting questions? I am compliant, or I think I'm compliant. So this is just a really good example of just trying to understand the USDA organic process in general, because it's quite different than any food safety certification. So this is just for a general quick question for if you're learning about organic certification and what it could entail and what kind of questions people are asking. And specifically, certifying agents are responsible for verifying that the operation that they certify comply with all parts of the USDA organic regulations that apply to the business-specific activities. And the businesses are responsible for demonstrating how they comply with the rules, and they may be multiple ways to comply. All right, here's one of our first examples today. My business takes ownership when importing organic product in the United States. Do we need to become certified? Yes, you do. In that original handling definition, the handle definition that I provided earlier, since your business is taking ownership, importing activities must be certified to the regulations. The business name will be listed on the import certificate, which can be shared at the port of entry. And transportation activities are exempt specifically, and this is stated in that fax link from the USDA NOP. I did want to go over just a little bit that if you are importing product from outside of the United States into the United States, that an import certificate is required, and that exporting certification body will put the importer's name on that import certificate, and that will be used to bring the products over the border. So this is something really important to keep in mind when you're looking for certification. And then, do importers need to be certified? This is the same question. I wanted to highlight the same thing, that importer does not have to be located in the United States under this rule, but they do need to be certified regardless of the packaging used. Organic certification is the only way to provide that verification. So that is definitely a lot of questions as well. So just to clarify, you do not have to be in the United States to become certified to the USDA/NOP organic regulations, and that specifically regarding your address. And here's another screenshot of the import certificates that I briefly talked about, and it goes into a pretty detailed explanation of how this NOP import certificate will work for the company. And this as well is just some questions and answers regarding, can this import certificate be revised after the certificate's already issued? And it can be. The short answer is it can be. And you'll work with your certifier to update that as needed. And it's so important in organic certification that you just maintain great communication with your certifier, such as PJRFSI or myself, to ask questions or provide updates to what you're requesting regarding your certification activities. My business is a customs broker. Do I need to be certified? So under the SOE, custom brokers are exempt from the requirement of organic certification if they do not take ownership or physical possession of organic products, and they meet the definition of a customs broker in this link specifically. There is no handling activities as we go back to that handling definition. So this is another example. We receive, store, or prep for shipment of organic products. We do not conduct handling activities. The product is not in sealed, tamper-evident packaging. So that means that I could come in and the product would not be in a sealed package. So yes, your operation does have to be organic certified. And then below are some examples for what prepping for a shipment looks like, including applying internal tracking numbers, shipping tracking, shipping cartons, and etc. So these are just some activities that you would be doing, like the question states, for prepping for a shipping activity. But yes, the operation does have to be certified because of that, because the product is not in a sealed, tamper-evident packaging. Even if you're not necessarily processing, you're still prepping for a shipment. You still must become certified to the USDA/NOP organic certification. All right, we receive, store, or prep for shipment of organic products. We do not conduct handling activities. The product is repackaged into new packaging. So yeah, this is similar to the last question. So yes, the operation does need to be certified organic, especially when you're putting anything into a new package. That's kind of always been a bit of a certification need even prior to SOE. All right, we buy and sell organic product or ingredients. I may receive, store, or prep for shipment. The labels are retail labels. So do I need to become certified? The answer is no. The operation does not conduct handling activities. The packaging must be in a sealed, evident. The packaging must be in sealed, tamper-evident packaging. So if this retail label did not appear to be sealed or tamper-evident, then it would need to be certified. But we're going with this retail label is sealed and tamper-evident, so no certification is not required. All right, we buy and sell organic product or ingredients. I may receive, store, or prep for shipment. labels are non-retail labels. Do I need to become certified? The answer is yes, yes, for a non-retail label. All right, now we're like, well, what? I don't really know what a non-retail label is, so we're going to get into that a little bit. I just wanted to refer here to the non-retail container definition, and it states any containers used for shipping or storage of an agricultural product that is not used in retail display or sale of the product. So when we're looking at these, when we're looking at labels in general, we're going to look to see if there's a lot code, and if there is a lot code, that could represent that there is a non-retail label, but also it could specify it may not have a certified organic statement on the label. So those are two ways to kind of decide. The biggest question I would, or the biggest way I would look is by asking your supplier, or also looking at your organic certificate of the product that you're purchasing to determine if it's a non-retail label. But these are just two examples of what it could look like. And just to clarify, if you guys do have a non-retail label, it is important that you guys still have traceability documentation to be able to trace that product back to the certified operation. That is not something that is exempt from certification. You still need to be able to trace that non-retail label back to the original products. All right, and I said reviewing the label is important, reviewing your organic certificates, addendum, and asking your supplier if it's a non-retail label or a retail label, just to summarize. All right, so now we're getting into, hopefully this has been able to answer if you need to be certified or not, and what are the next steps for organic certification. So the next steps are applying, fill out our application for our organic certification. You can reach out to one of our sales reps or contact PJRFSI. Once your application is accepted and the deposit has been paid, PJRFSI will provide documentation to fill out, such as your organic system plan. The organic system plan, per the regulations, share essentially what is your operation doing, and specifically what's doing for an organic operation. After the documentation is complete and accepted, then we'll send out an inspector for inspection, and then after we get that inspection report back, we'll review the report and work towards your certificate. And here are some links for you guys. Here's our PJRFSI Organic Program. It has additional questions or facts and questions as well that we've determined that are just a lot of questions we get. Hopefully those can provide some answers. And we also wanted to provide a link here for potential grant opportunities if your operation is needing assistance with organic certification coverage. And now we're at the question and answer session. Do you guys have any questions that I can help answer?
Yeah, perfect. Thanks so much, Rachel, for a really great presentation today. I know it's a lot of information covered. So far we don't have any questions. I want to give it some additional time. So I wanted to talk about a couple of questions that, from the sales team, when we're a little more client facing, some of the things that maybe we hear. So I guess, could you talk a little bit about the timeline? Everyone says, hey, can this be completed by, July 1st? Can you talk a little bit about the timeline of certification, really from start to finish, and how it can vary a little bit depending on, your operation and some of the dates that are really kind of set forth? I apologize, you're on mute, Rachel.
Sorry about that. Yeah, so regarding timeline, it can really depend on how motivated your operation is. If your operation once we provide the documentation, if your operation has that filled out within a week, we can get your inspection within about 2 weeks. So it's really dependent. I typically see about a 2-month turnaround, from 2 to 3 months turnaround from a customer who is actively looking to get certified very soon. But sometimes we can just the customers just take a little bit longer time. They're not as actively trying to get certified within the certain amount of timeline that they're looking for. But yeah, it's typically about 2 to 3 months, or however active the client is.
Fantastic. And so the next question would be, obviously there are some routes to exemption for brokers. And, for good reason, that's something that, in the supply chain of custody, they would be exempt from. However, I know that we've come across some times where the broker is exempt, but the product itself is landing into a port or into a facility that is not currently certified. Can you talk about that scenario and, who needs to be certified and who really carries that burden?
Yeah. So, yep, we've received that question a lot regarding it's all regarding that import certificate that I talked about. Whoever is listed on that import certificate is who has to be certified to be regulations, regardless of where the product is being shipped right after that import. It's whoever is stated on there. So if it's going to it's imported by company ABC, and then it goes to company CDE and is stored there, it's still that ABC company of the import certificate who has to be certified.
Yeah, so while you're a broker, you may be exempt from certification under that traditional broker relationship. You might still be required to get certification because of, where the product is being stored or handled in this case before it makes it to its final destination.
Yeah, and it kind of goes into like potentially if that location that it's ending up, if it's possible that they're already organic certified, then potentially it might be best to put them on that import certificates. And there's additional operations that need to be, but it's a really big communication between your certified to determine if that activity is needed or not.
Fantastic. Well, we don't have any more questions coming in. Obviously, oh, here we go. Plan requirements. Can you talk a little bit about the organic fraud plan requirements?
Yeah, so this is as well along with the new SOE requirements. So regarding your food fraud plan, I'm not sure if you're familiar with the food fraud plan in the food safety world or not, but it's relatively pretty comparable to the organic world. In general, when we're looking at our fraud, we're trying to determine is our supplier potentially causing fraud? That's the question. So in the organic food fraud plan, we're specifically looking at is the products that we are purchasing, are they at risk at producing fraud, and how do we keep track of that?
Now, this is raw ingredient as well as finished product?
Yep, this is the whole industry, whether it's either somebody or a farmer or an importer or a processor and livestock. Everyone in the whole organic industry must be have a food fraud plan. So a lot of our certifiers in the industry have created a food fraud plan for you guys already. So when you apply, we'll send you a fraud plan that you can answer questions. We're looking at, for example, when your product is receiving, what activities are you determining are a high risk for that, or if there is fraud, is there fraud in your process, potential fraud, and is there potential fraud going out into the shipping or potentially to another customer? You're trying to mitigate all those activities throughout the process.
And when you say fraud, I mean, we're talking about both intentional things, you know, as well as unintentional just commingling of product, and the process around making sure that the organic pallet stays in the correct chain of custody. Again, comes back to that traceability aspect of it. So it's both intentional fraud as well as things that are just process based that can get out of control.
Yep. And it's specifically potentially even regarding to your operation. Is there potential fraud for one of your employees to create fraud? Especially we've seen that in the food industry, or in the food safety industry. Like, is there somebody who's going to potentially intentionally add something to the product, or intentionally not provide organic product into that recipe? So we're trying to mitigate all of those potentials, and what is your plan for that, and how frequently, and who is going to do that, and specifically also training. Who are you going to train for this? So we try to look at all those, we ask all those questions in our organic fraud plan.
Fantastic question. And please, if any more questions come in today after the presentation, feel free to send us an email. You can reach out directly to PJRFSI at PJRFSI. Rachel provided her information as well. Feel free to, reach out with anything at all. But that's all the questions that we have today. I want to be respectful of everyone's time for joining us. Thank you so much on behalf of all of us at PJRFSI. Have a great month, and happy Food Safety Day. Thanks, guys. Bye.
Thanks.